Are you serious? Are you serious? Wow! It's getting crazy out there. But you know what? There is some consistency in this whole situation with the market. And that is I noticed the stock market is remaining pretty consistent, and that's important amidst all the rest of the stuff. So what we're going to do is have Bob Kudla from Trade Genius Academy. Bob Kudla from Trade Genius Academy is going to come and join us. And Bob, great to have you on today.
Hey Paul, good thing you weren't watching the market today. Then I think you're spending. I think you're on the golf course.
Yeah, I was. What happened today? Well, it ended at 35,000. It looks like it lost a couple hundred points. But what happened today?
So for your audience, Paul's either pastor, he's an optimist, right? He just forgets we got to get through life before we get to heaven. So after the market's been down. The market did a 10% correction. They're worried about but it's not a general correction. So it's kind of weird. We're kind of rotating. So if you're in energy names and you're in certain specific niches, you're doing fine. But if you're just in the index like SPY or IWM or financials, you're really struggling here. So they're worried about them raising interest rates. You notice the 10-year yield now is pushed up to 2%. The 30-year mortgages are pushing up closer to 44%. And that's putting pressure on the market. Plus, there's zero faith in the president to be in front of any of these issues. And then you have China. I don't know what the game China's trying to play now. They shut down all their ports, quote unquote, for COVID. So they're just creating a lot of volatility out there. And at the same time, Yosemite Sam Biden is out there shooting his pistoleros off here without any clue with what direction the guns are going. And so now we're going into a election season. So it's causing some issues. But Paul, it's going well for us. And folks, this is not a humble brag, but which is amazing to me. So I've not had a losing day yet this year. That's not normal, okay? But the volatility is so high that it helps the kind of trading that we do when you have these big moves like today even. So in SPY, I'll just give people like a little brief insight.
Yep.
So I came into the day, we started gapping up in SPY. I went long SPY, which is the index. It immediately rolled over on me, so I went negative. So I had a negative portfolio, and then I doubled up. When Europe closes, they pop it again. So there's kind of a rhythm to the market. So we did that, and then when you get to the end of the day, these last 2 hours when the institutionals trade, we took off our long and we went short again, and the market literally dropped 50 ES points. So this volatility is really good for people like ourselves who trade. And at the same time, we're long energy names, which done well today. We are long gold and silver miners today, which the GDX and GDXJ did well today. And then if I haven't told you guys before, you're talking about Trump's new company, DWAC. Okay, so we've been telling people to buy this thing since it was in the 40s. Well, yesterday it hit, I think into this morning, hit 94. Okay. Now push back down to 78. It might push back down a little bit more. Tell people to get back in it again. So, one of the things that we're going to see here from a strategic or a macro point of view is the country's bifurcating. So I think the right has been kind of on the defensive for a while. And now everybody's just saying, you know what? I don't have to fight the left or the progressives or the elites. We can just simply walk away and go to our own set of systems. And you're going to start to see that in a lot of different ways. So you're going to start seeing businesses that are going to appeal directly to people that are, the pro-Trump crowd and the anti-Trump crowd, because people are now like saying, you know what, I'm tired of you censoring me. I'm tired of you knocking me off. And there's some really interesting examples here that's going on, which I'm actually optimistic. I mean, strategically, we know it's going to happen. Satan controls this world. He has a mission. You're starting to see some of that stuff. we'll talk about that a little bit. But right now, is Virginia was a catalyst for us. Number one, Joe Rogan was a catalyst for us.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Omicron the catalyst for us, and Trump's going to be a catalyst for us. And let me explain. Virginia shows that people are sick and tired.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Joe Rogan shows you can blow up the media. CNN gets 1 million views, and you have Joe Rogan get 40 or 80 million views, right?
Right.
Look, I mean, I do interviews with people like yourself that get more views than CNN.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
people are hungry for the truth.
Yep.
So here comes Omicron, blows up the whole narrative around infection, spreading, safety, basically saying, science is, you're not following science, you're following some sort of political thing. And now Trump's going to come rolling in February with his whole Truth Social thing. Rumble's rumbling on its side.
Yep.
And they're two publicly traded stocks. So I think it's CFBI and DWAC, but DWAC has really been moving because of the launch in February.
What do you know? What day? What day does DWAC launch?
21st of February.
All right, and what do they call it?
DWAC is already launched. You're talking about Truth Social.
Yeah, Truth. Yeah.
21 February.
So okay, has his social network launched yet?
That's it. 21 February.
21 February. Okay, because I'm going to get on it. Matter of fact, 80 million people are going to get on it.
Yeah.
And so you're saying it's a publicly traded company as well, and it was in the 40s when you start telling people you might as well get in this. It's already in $91 a share, and you think it might take a little dip before it. Where do you see it going? Where do you see it going?
It'll double top at over 140, 160. Who knows? I mean, how high did Facebook go? It's going to be that big. When you have 80 million people pumping advertising dollars into advertisers in that space, it's a high margin business once you cover your fixed costs. So that business should grow. Look, everybody's going to watch Trump. The people who love Trump are going to watch Trump. The people who hate Trump are going to watch Trump. So he's going to get the eyeballs and the engagements. And if he's going to let this thing be a free for all, it's going to be crazy. And advertisers would be crazy to not participate. And you know what? And if they don't, somebody will come in and start businesses and take business away from those people.
Yep.
So, I think it's a tremendous opportunity. Now, if this keeps happening, Paul, if gold and silver now are truly, truly now going to make a move, we've been long suffering in the silver miners and the gold miners, but today was a very interesting day. I closed both my positions. We were long both. But, whenever you get these big pops, when you're a trader, you got to kind of pull back. But once we start breaking these rectangles of ranges, we should be able to get into some of these silver and gold miners, and we should be able to get the moves that we saw in the past. So I think it's going to be tremendous for people that are looking for these inflation hedges. On the bad news side, look, if you're a consumer, very expensive. Very expensive. You can't go out to eat.
No.
Unless you make some big bucks, you're you're eating at 7-Eleven, right? So you're not going out. I mean,
it kind of looks like a manufactured famine.
Of course it is.
It's got to be, and it's incredible to me that the other day there was a couple towns in Georgia where there was absolutely no meat. Okay, I mean, no meat in the town, nowhere, shelves barren everywhere, and this is going on across the country, and so people can't afford the groceries, they can't afford the gas pump. They can't afford the taxes. They're frustrated and they're saying no more. They're pushing back. And I think you said that really on my show a couple of years ago. You said, Paul, just watch. At some point, people are going to say enough's enough. And they're going to start to push back. And we're seeing that. Is that why gold today is, gold's up to $18.50 or something like that. It looked like it had a $29
Yeah,
increase.
Nice move. Normally they knock it back down, but it pushed right through. I think people are realizing we're going from transitory to permanent, inflation here, and it's going to look when these moves happen. These are like some of these moves could be up to 18 months long. So Fed's behind the curve. Like they can't look. It's a devil you do. It's like the doctor telling you have high cholesterol and high sugar, right? Well, what the hell do you eat? Pardon my French, right? So everybody's gonna be eating salad.
Right.
And so that's kind of where people are like, okay, you want high inflation, you want high recession. Well, that's not a choice at all, right? So, if you own property and you own assets, high inflation is okay to a point, but at some point it outruns your income. And
Yes.
then you start seeing all this zany stuff that's going on with the governments. Look, we're all progressive tax codes. So the more money you make, the higher your tax rate is, not just your higher tax, so it accelerates. And so now, the federal is pushing people who are modest income into higher tax brackets. So the government gets a free tax increase, with inflation. They don't have to
Yeah.
do
They don't.
anything.
So, and don't you think that's what happened? See, Build Back Better never got done. It couldn't get done because it's ludicrous. So instead of passing legislation to raise taxes, you create a false famine. You create a manufactured famine which drives inflation prices up, and now they can collect off the retail tax, okay, or because the prices are higher. Would they raise taxes without raising taxes? And
Well, that's the whole purpose behind the whole Federal Reserve in the very beginning. It was always that way. That's why they set up these progressive tax codes, because they know they're going to catch you. And it's not just tax increases, Paul. I mean, tax rate increases. You slide above certain income levels, you start losing government benefits.
yeah,
Okay, look, if they're moving your Social Security line up 5%, but inflation's 15%, and you got to make more money just to go out to work, all of a sudden they start taxing your Social Security,
right,
right?
right.
They're going to start means testing Medicare. They're going to start doing all this crazy stuff. California, they want to invoke universal health care. That means if you make
That's
over
a disaster.
$150,000 a year, 22% tax rate. If your business generates $2 million in revenue, not profit,
Just revenue.
they're going to add a 2.3% gross sales tax on that revenue. And if you have more than 18 employees, they're going to add a Medicare surcharge.
Nobody
So
can stay in business out there in California. I mean, nobody's
they're
going to
going
be
to
able to do it.
they're going to blow people out. It's just ridiculous. And and their whole thing is, well, we're going to save you money because we're going to lower your healthcare costs. Well, that's to be determined, because in California you have to get a 2/3 vote for this to pass. If they get this thing through, they put in the amendment that they can change the rules at any time. So with a majority of the legislature, so they can say, well, 150 is not doing it. We're going to drop it down to 100. 2 million gross sales is not enough. We're going to drop it down to 1 million. Now you got to understand, if you're a grocery store, you're paying gross receipts.
You're right.
Right. And
right.
all these big guys, all they're going to do, just like they did with COVID, they're just going to put a universal healthcare rider on their bill. Oh, we're just going to charge you the 2.3%, and they're just going to take it and pass it on. Exactly what the government's going to want. Basically, it's basically a sales tax on top of a sales tax.
Yep.
And now we're going to be all over. We're going to be paying 11% sales tax. It's going to be a VAT, because it's a backwards VAT. So no matter where you are in the system, if you make $2 million, you're going to. So the car manufacturer is going to do it. Then the distributor is going to do it. Then the dealership's going to do it. Next thing you know it, you just paid 7.5% VAT on your car, and the government collected it in 3 different ways. It's just going to be a nightmare to the people in California. So that's why I was talking to you. I said, look, I'm going to have to get a bug out plan here, because, okay, great, you save me a couple thousand on my health care, but you're going to charge me $20,000 more to live.
Right. Well, and actually,
by the way, it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not.
You get health care. Yeah, it don't matter. Yeah. That's great. Okay.
Crazy.
Believe it or not, folks, and Bob, you could go all the way back in the mid '90s with Hillary Clinton's. She was reinventing healthcare, Hillary Care. It never got passed, but it got implemented. Heidi and I have been talking about that since then. Heidi was, of course, running nursing homes at the time, and this was supposed to make less paperwork and more efficient. It was Hillary Care. Hillary Care never got passed in Congress, but all the insurance companies and all the medical hospitals implemented it anyway. And what it ended up doing was creating more cost and more bureaucracy that the government could take from, which ultimately raised the prices of your health insurance to the point that then the insurance company said, okay, we got to raise the premiums up here, but we got to start dropping benefits. We don't pay for that no more. We don't pay for this no more. We don't pay for that. Oh, by the way, your deductible's going up, 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 up. So the whole thing. So by the time we get to this universal health care, you don't hardly have any health care anyway. Now you're going to have no health care, but double the price is what is going to happen to California. In California, it's over. I mean, I just saw a thing. You won't believe this, but the U-Haul announced, we don't have enough U-Hauls. Forget it. You can't rent from us. There's too many are out. None of them are coming back. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. We can belabor these points forever, but just, it's coming. But, and we talked about this before. Look, I can help you in terms of make money to outrun the inflation. So I hope I proved that to people over the many years that you and I have been doing. This is almost our 6th year doing these interviews together.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
What's going on? I mean, how fast is time going? And you
and you and I were puppies when we started.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So look, you can always, there's always opportunities to trade in the stock market. And if you don't mind, look, we put specials together for your listeners. So
yes,
65% off. We trade the stock market. We trade the crypto markets. We day trade. I just referred to that. We have a room for that too. We'll teach you how to trade. Our system is pretty cool. So it's 2 algorithms. They look at ranges, they look at trends, and they look at money flow. And so we help you really box the trade, if you will, and give you high probability of profit trades. I threw some attaboys. Those are just from today and yesterday.
Unbelievable.
Paul, that I threw your way. Just, help people with DWAC. I help people with CCJ. I help people with gold and silver. People are, they're appreciative. I helped people get out of the market 2 weeks ago, told them, hey, this thing's going to dump, and get out of your leverage, and you can always buy back later. And that's what we did. And then if you don't want anything that's bundled, you can just go into the store and use promo code WINTER, get 40% off. Take advantage of by Saturday, if you will. And I think you'll like trading with us. I trade all day long, every day. This is like a passion of mine. So even if I didn't have this service, I'd still be doing this. It's something I really love. And, we figured out it is a way in which we can show people how it works. Look, we give you chat rooms. We give you the algorithm, by the way. You have access to it as long as you're a customer. So you can trade things I don't trade. People are asking me all the time, Bob, I'm in this, I'm in that. What do you think? We pull up the chart. We can look at the same data together, and it'll tell you whether or not you should be in the trade or thinking about it or getting out of it. So thanks for letting me pitch that. It's just really cool system. And
you've been so successful.
Every day.
You've been so successful, and so many people are so appreciative of what you've done. And I mean, we get emails all the time. Thank you, Paul, for bringing us TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Thank you for bringing this Bob to the table, because he's helped us. He's helped my life. He's changed my life. So I got one guy who absolutely retired, and he said, I don't know what I'm going to do, and he was looking for something to do, and he took your program, and now he knows what to do. He's making more money than he made when he was working full time, and he's doing it, on his retirement. It's living in retirement. So it's kind of really neat to see the stories, the testimonies of things. I was going to ask you a question, because I noticed that gold, silver, platinum, palladium, all of them going up, but Bitcoin still hovering at 41. Is Bitcoin the loser in this adjusted market, or will it come roaring back as well? What's your thoughts?
It's really interesting with Bitcoin. It seems to be, on the other side of the seesaw of gold. So when Bitcoin was going, gold was going down. When Bitcoin goes down, gold seems to go up. So they're like the Janus coin here of an alternative. And so one of them likes, what's going on with the dollar and rates. One of them doesn't. And so, what we're seeing now, and I asked Phil, he's my crypto guy. I said, hey, I'm going to jump on a couple calls today, do some interviews. People are going to ask about crypto. What's your personal view? Now, just so you know, Phil has hundreds of Bitcoin. Okay, so he's not. It's not a hobby for him. It's his life. And so he said, look, I expect the market and the stock market and Bitcoin to kind of be in sync with each other right now. There seems to be a liquidity issue. Okay. And there's a derivatives issue across the board. He said we may go down into middle of February. and then from there he's looking for that high to put the low in for the year. Now, having said that, 2 years ago or 2018 when crypto was falling into the tank, people had no alternatives. Now there's ways in which you can hedge your Bitcoin by you can buy puts on Riot, you can buy puts on Mara, you can buy puts on BTBT. There's HUT. So there's actually some crypto companies out there that mine the cryptos, hold them on their books. You're talking about what's it called? The guy that had put it all on his balance sheet. That company, I forget the name of it off the top of my head. I don't trade it, but he has, I don't know, billions of dollars of Bitcoin.
Are you talking about Elon Musk?
No. I think it's MicroStrategies.
Okay.
And yeah, so you can short those companies or buy puts on those companies to hedge your Bitcoin position. So there's ways in which you can manage your crypto. Look, I buy every week. That's the way I do it. I take $100 and I buy crypto every week. I mix it up between Bitcoin and the alts, and I'm just building my position until it gets to a size I want it, and then I'll start managing it or trading it. But I'm still in the accumulation phase. I started this in 2015. So you just keep buying and buying and buying a little at a time. I don't care what it does, up or down. In fact, as I'm accumulating, I don't care if it comes down some. So there's a lot of strategies. If you have a hodl strategy, then you don't even care what I'm saying. And if you have what's called a hodl and add strategy, that's what Phil does, then we can help you in the room on trading in and out of your extra Bitcoin, if you will, or your leverage position. The entire goal is to get more Bitcoin, because there's still only 21 million of them. Okay,
that's it. There's yeah,
and they're done. And it's going to be, it's just like anything else. Look, there's only one Mona Lisa, right? So everybody says, well, art's going in and out. Well, you know what? Okay, but people that live in Turkey, or people that live in Kazakhstan, or people that live in Argentina, okay, they want dollars, or they want Bitcoin, or they want gold. They want something that the government can't basically monetize away.
Right.
Okay. And so, it's good for you to accumulate these things. It's good to have. For me, energy names are important. Uranium's most important to me because that's limited. And that was happening in Kazakhstan. 40% of the world's uranium is produced there.
Yeah.
Platinum and palladium, Russia produces most of it. I mean, you got to think about this stuff for
you do,
guys.
What about China? I mean, don't you got to think about China as well? I mean,
China consumes it.
Yes.
So, and they've been growing at 14% a year. So where's that uranium going to come from? Where's it going to go? Well, guess what? There's only so much of it out there. So there's a U.S. company called Quad U, which means UU. It's protected. Buy it. Own it. Okay. Nickel's going to be in short supply. NILSY, Nilsy. Okay, it's a Russian company, but they're the only pure play nickel company out there. It trades on the stock market. I mean, so there's ways in which you can be strategically. Tin is at all-time highs. Okay, right now. Alcoa just had a big move. So there are places in which you can make money just being a little bit more macro and strategic. And if you're not trading in and out of it like a crazy man, you'll be fine. Okay. Like on my wife's side, she's heavy into energy. She doesn't trade. She just accumulates. She bought some of the DWAC, okay? She bought some of the shippers, okay? And shipping stocks are going through the roof. They don't make enough of them, okay? I think China's trying to press them now by China closed all their ports, okay? But what do you do?
How do you? I mean, you're closing the ports. Is that for exporting or just for importing?
Yeah, well, probably exporting.
Both. Well, that's going to hurt.
China never stops taking stuff. Well, you got to think of it. If China wants to buy low, sell high, right?
Right.
So if they say we're going to close the ports, well, maybe we'll open it for you if you drop your price.
Right.
So you're dealing with China Inc. You're not dealing with any.
They're holding the world hostage. They're holding the world hostage. They're using this pandemic as an excuse, and now this type of business practice is starting to become a norm among many governments. Everybody's pointing a gun at everybody. And we look at Russia. Russia's sitting there at the, they're staring at the Ukrainians. You got the pipeline running through. The NATO nations are saying we got to protect ourselves. Biden's in the basement. Harris don't know what's going on. I mean, really, this is a weird time. And
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Look, we're just the fourth turning, right? So you have this is what happens. Trade breaks down. People protect their assets. People try to get as much as they can. But you know what? Guess who holds the trump card? Pardon the pun. We do with food,
right?
and
Yes, that's
and
true.
so at some point things get really nasty, and the politicians have to be really careful because if they let us just export food without any consequence, people will lose their jobs because people America can't be the number one producer of food in the world and have people starving because food prices are going up because we're sending it all to China. So it's going to
Right.
become a weapon. Natural gas is going to become a weapon in the United States. So I'm surprised that we're always going after Russia because I think we could have a very, very mutually beneficial relationship because we need the stuff that they produce and they need our stuff.
Yep.
But we're just constantly fighting these people. But
Well, I
it doesn't
think
matter.
Trump. Don't you think when President Trump was in, he recognized that, and he was trying to figure out a way to build that bridge because it was more beneficial for both countries. And he
Yeah,
knew
well,
China was actually the one that would drain us and defeat us if we didn't watch it. But boy, the other party, the Democrat Party, they seem to be totally in bed with China and hate Russia. And so,
well, I think that's it. They are making too much money with China. China says, "Hey, I don't want Trump getting cozy with Russia because that puts pressure on China." And look at um, the politicians' kids are all in Ukraine
yeah,
with payouts.
yeah, they
So they're
are
like, "Hey, we Trump's screwing around with Ukraine. All our children are getting massively rich
right.
from this stuff." So yeah. So it's a big mess.
It is.
But look, as you know, this to me a lot of this is the spiritual things happening, and so my view on all this is that these are the four horsemen galloping around,
That's
right? So
right.
you
You're
have
right.
the who knows is coming after COVID, right? And you got the food famine thing, and the verse that always strikes me the most is basically don't hurt the oil and
And the
wine,
wine.
which is really the Holy Spirit is telling us that the poor people are the ones that are going to truly suffer. The rich are going to have access to because people know the analogy is right. Oil and wine is the rich can only really have oil and wine. The poor have to eat barley, and their whole income is going to be basically taking up with food.
Yeah, they have to work all day for one meal.
Right.
Is what that inflation will be all
Yeah,
day
and
for
that's what's
one meal.
coming, and yeah, and so we were just talking last night, my wife and I'm like, we're just gonna have to. This is it, grin and bear it, because this is outside of the scope of we're dealing with principalities and powers beyond us. So I'm going to use whatever I can here on earth to protect my family. I don't need
Right,
to sit there like a dummy, right?
right,
God gave you lamps for your feet for a reason, made you a
right,
Korean for a reason, so take advantage of it, right?
right.
You don't be immoral. Take care of your family, friends if you can. Share this information, and even if you don't buy my service, I just gave you some trades that are going to be good for next year.
You really
So
did. Well, that's
just
why,
don't let.
folks, go right now. TradeGeniusAcademy.com. That's www.tradegeniusacademy.com. Go over there, look at the specials. You got some specials that's going to go through Friday, through Friday night. And you've always been so honest with the viewers. You've always helped people when they go. That's what your system does. It teaches you how to fish. You don't just give out fishes. You teach people how to fish and how to think for themselves while being part of a community of chatters who are all in this together. I think it's brilliant. It's a brilliant thing you're doing. I think it's a God thing, really, to be honest with you, because it's not a greedy thing. It's a God thing. It's people helping people to foresee what's coming, and through the Holy Spirit and through good wisdom that God's given you, great knowledge to be able to read. I mean, I'm still stunned every time I hear about the fact you study all the weather in the world, so you know about what energy and food and different things are going to fluctuate, and you start buying out in advance because you know what's coming. It's actually that's what Joseph did in Egypt. To be honest, he was out. He knew a 7-year famine was coming. He was so far out ahead of everyone else. So,
Hey, so I got a new one for you on the
all
weather
right,
front. So remember the Tonga
volcano.
eruption?
Yep.
So And a quick aside. So every time I leave to go on vacation, my daughter said, "You can't leave anymore, Dad. Always something happens." She goes, "A tsunami this time." So we had a little tsunami in California, like 3 foot because of the Tonga eruption. But what they're predicting now, not the crazy climate change people, but
Right.
like serious scientists, they said in 1993 or 1995, I forget where. I'll have to look at the chart again. We had an eruption of similar nature. When it pushes up so high like it did and so powerfully, it'll actually change. It actually changes the climate for 2 years. So expect cooler weather next summer. Not this particular summer. It may start this summer, but next summer in Europe and in the Northeast, a cooler summer. And out west here, we should get an El Nino, which should be a wet winter. And
Wow.
so that's interesting. I said to somebody this morning, I said, I got to look up to see how I can monetize that knowledge, you know. The good news for California is a lot of water. So drought should be abating some. And, but if you're like in Utah, when we get really big El Ninos, Utah just gets flooded like a lake. So that means I would think that you're going to see Lake Mead and Lake Powell. They should be filling back up again. And so, I mean, this is a godsend.
Yep.
If that happened, I don't think anybody died from the eruption, but it was brutal.
Brutal.
I mean, it's beautiful, seeing God's majesty at work, but it's kind of scary. I mean, that thing was massive.
Yeah.
And it just blew up like in a second. So
from the bottom of the ocean, imagine the force coming up out of
the water
to 12.5 miles to the edge of space. There's ash. What kind of force is that? I mean, this shows you the power of God and the force of the earth, but the beauty of His ability to balance
and create.
Unreal.
Yeah, we're gonna literally wipe out 20 years of global warming hand wringing. God says, "Hey, hold my beer."
Al Gore, where's Al Gore? I mean, what's he going to do? Everybody's going to be shivering, and they're going to be cool winters and cool summers. I mean, the scientists.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter somebody just said, "What was that? Carbon neutral? That volcano?"
Actually, that volcano. I think they said that volcano. The carbon footprint of that volcano is equivalent to every car running and every power plant, nuke plant, everything we can, every smokestack that we can have burned for 100 years. Yeah. So the whole joke of this whole Green New Deal thing and taxing people, they really, it's getting to be stupidity, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that this is another thing. When you say God doesn't have a sense of humor, I believe He does, because He made them look like idiots with Omicron. He literally made Biden an idiot. And now you have these the climate change thing. Look, the only thing that people should worry about, if we get a massive volcano in Iceland. So they said they did a thing, was what was the worst year to be alive in the entire recorded world. That was in 534 AD. And what they determined was that there was a volcano somewhere in Asia that went off, coupled with a massive volcanic eruption in Iceland. And it basically drifted over Europe, and it caused worldwide famines. They said it was the worst year to be alive. I mean,
wow.
Percentages of the world just died. Worse than the plague, because the plague kind of like rolled its way through the world.
Yeah.
This thing was in 2 years. It just killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, look that up. I think it's 534 AD, but if not, people can Google the worst year to be alive, and you can read up on it. It's pretty cool.
Interesting.
See, This is what I do in my free time.
I think I'm the apocalypse guy. I thought I was the apocalypse guy. Sounds like you a late night reading.
Oh, no, I just think this stuff's so interesting to me. And,
yeah.
So I don't want to take any more of your time, but look at TradeLikeAGenius.com, TradeLikeAGenius.com, I should say, and check us out. What we charge for the service is nothing what you get out of it, and help me support Paul's ministry, and we've had a great time. It's very interesting. Paul's you're a great interviewer, and great ministry, and I always enjoy coming on your show. So it's 2022 is going to be a very, very, very interesting year. I can't say it's going to be good or bad, but I think some major change is happening, and basically I think it's the opposite of the Empire Strikes Back. It's basically the people strike back, and I think look, if we have courage, remember there's a lot more of us than there are them, and I don't mean going into the streets and doing the crazy stuff the crazy people do. All you have to do is just be Gandhi.
That's it.
Just be Gandhi.
Just be Gandhi.
Just opt out.
Yeah, so I don't think I'll participate. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to play.
I'm gonna play.
And you'd be surprised. You want somebody to switch the way they do business? Well, stop doing business with them. Yep. They'll switch.
They'll switch. They have to.
And just remember, the right-wing people have more money than the left-wing people.
By far.
So
there's a reason for that too. If you study biblical economics, you'll understand it.
Yep.
You're right, Bob. You're right. Hey, we're off to our 6th year together. Maybe this will be one of the best, interesting years that we'll have together. Let's see how it rides out. And may you have a great year, a new year. Your family be blessed, and all the good decisions you'll make will be certainly God directed.
Oh, thanks for the blessing, Paul. Have a great day.
Amen. All right, folks, that's Bob Kudla. You heard what he said. He's got these holiday specials. These specials going through Friday. Go over there to TradeGeniusAcademy.com. I'm putting the links below. Click on them. Get over there. And it's time to get control of your own destiny and do it with some Christian companies like TradeGeniusAcademy.com. I'll see you all next time right here on the Coming Apocalypse.